Hi, welcome to Spiritual Connection. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach, I'm an energy healer, and I'm a shamanic practitioner and a spiritual leader. And you know, connection is one of my core values. It's really the reason I started this show, Spiritual Connection, was so we could connect with each other as well as connect more fully with our spiritual selves. So thanks for joining us tonight. And I have a special guest tonight, and her name is Nicole Miale. Welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie.
Yeah,
I'm really excited.
Happy you're able to make it. So I'm just going to read a little bit about you to our audience because they don't know you,
Okay.
so they can find out what you're all about. So first of all, Nicole is the publisher and the owner, right, of 2 Natural Awakenings magazines.
That's
Yes, and these are franchises that cover parts of Connecticut. So one is down here in Fairfield County, that covers Fairfield and Litchfield, right? And the other edition is for the whole greater Hartford area.
That's
so
right.
that's a newer venture for you. You've been doing that for about 1.5 years. And in the Fairfield Litchfield, you've been doing that for 6 years.
Yeah, we have an anniversary coming up May 1st.
Awesome.
Can't believe it.
Wow. Yeah, so she's going to talk more about that in a little while. We're going to hear all about that. And Nicole is also a writer and an energy practitioner herself, and she has a master's in Integrative Health and Healing. And she said that publishing Natural Awakenings has been a fulfilling journey of discovery for you.
Yeah.
So you know what, I'd really like to start with that question. Tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey and what that has been like, whatever you want to share about that.
The first time that I'm aware of beginning a spiritual journey was when I started my master's degree program back in 2008.
Okay.
And I was working in medical education, conventional medical education, working with pharmaceutical company money to help teach doctors and nurses how to use new drugs and diagnose new diseases. And I was not convinced that that was exactly the right path for me. And I came across something in an issue of Natural Awakenings. This is long before I had any association with it. I was just a reader. And it was an ad for it was then called the Experiential Health and Healing program at the Graduate Institute in Bethany.
Wow.
And it's one of the first moments in my life that I was aware of spirit working through me, whether you want to call it intuition or grace, but I ripped that page out of the magazine and went straight up to the computer, and within 2 weeks I had gone to an information session and signed up for a 2-year master's degree program. And everybody I knew thought I had lost my mind because they didn't understand what the degree was. They figured I would go for an MBA or something like that to further my career path. And B, there was no clear answer to, well, what are you going to do with this? And I said, I don't know. I just know I'm supposed to be there. And it was the beginning of a real journey of self-discovery because it's a 2-year program. It's an accredited master's. But it's very self-directed learning. So they take you an inch deep across a very wide cross-section of philosophies and healing techniques and belief systems, and so you get tremendous exposure to lots of different ideas, and it turned my whole worldview upside down, which needed to happen. And about halfway through the program, I was laid off, which turned out to be the first time in 4 years because I got laid off twice. And I made a conscious choice not to go back to doing the same kind of work I had been doing, and a conscious choice to really seek a more fulfilling path. And my life took a hard right turn at that point, you know, and I always say that the magazine changed my life twice. And the first time was when I saw the master's program, and the second time was when I found out that it was for sale. 6 years ago. And at the time, I had just been laid off again, and I was searching for what I was going to do next. And I kept saying, I need a meaningful project. I need something that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
And the opportunity came up. And
yeah. So did you feel like that was also, it just kind of fell in your lap? It was meant to be.
It was
in a
divinely
way.
guided.
Yeah.
There is no question it was divinely led, because there was no logical way it should have happened. Given the circumstances I was in at the time, I was unemployed. My home was going into foreclosure. I had very little savings left because I'd been living off of that. And here was this terrific opportunity to buy a magazine franchise, but with what money? And I can remember I had a great conversation with the publisher who owned it. And she said, you know, I've been waiting for the right person to take over my baby, and I know it's you. And I was really excited. And then I said, okay, well, how much is it? And when she told me, the bottom just dropped out of my stomach. And I thought, well, it's been great talking to you, but there's no way.
Yeah.
And the next day I had an email from her that said, I couldn't sleep. I know you're the right person. So look into the options that you have, and I'll do anything I can to help you make this happen.
That's amazing.
And 8 weeks later, I owned the magazine.
Wow.
And there was no logical way it happened.
Yeah.
It was, you know, through grace, and even the attorneys kept telling us, this is way too fast, you know, we should probably push it out another few weeks, and we just kept saying, no, this is going to happen.
If it was meant to be.
It really was.
That was what was going on.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, almost exactly. I think we started talking in March, or actually probably about this time, because we closed on May 1st.
Yeah, you said the anniversary's
It was
coming
exactly
up.
8 weeks, yeah.
Well, I really applaud you for recognizing and going with your intuition and your spiritual guidance. You know, that, I mean, first you were opened up, learned a lot at the Graduate Institute, and so that was a good experience for you there, in that program.
It was a tremendous experience. I mean, the people I met, the information I was exposed to, I mean, like I said, it just really, it changed my view of the world.
Yeah.
For the better. I think it just opened up my horizons. You know, we follow the paths that are laid in front of us, right? We come in with the lenses that we've developed over time, right, from the belief systems that we're exposed to and the things that we read over the years or that we hear in college or whatever. But it's not very often that we're encouraged to really examine those things and check in with our own inner being about what we really truly believe.
Right.
And that's what that program enabled me to do.
Well, it's really interesting, but I will share that I didn't realize that you had done your master's there. I did a master's at the Graduate Institute.
You did?
In leadership.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is such a coincidence.
What years were you there?
I finished in 2013.
Okay, so I finished in 2010, and then I worked for the Graduate Institute for another few years after that.
Oh, I'm surprised we didn't run into each other.
We probably were at some of the same weekend events and didn't know.
Probably, yeah. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of the names of the people.
Andy Suma, yeah.
Andy Suma was there. He was one of my leaders, and Mel Toomey was the person who wrote the curriculum for this particular course, leadership. Yeah, and it was also a great experience for me. It was. I think I was already more on the path. You know, it sounded like that was your first entry point, and I was maybe a little bit more on the path. But it definitely opened a lot of avenues for me that I hadn't really thought of. You know, and the same thing. It's like, well, what are you going to do with this degree? And that's really beside the point, because it's not what. It's like who you are.
That's exactly it. And there was a time when I actually worked at the Graduate Institute in the admissions office, and when people would say, well, what will I do with this in the end? I would say, well, the answer is dependent on who you are when you come in and who you are when you come out. How could I possibly know that?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And for me, as it turns out, the magazine is like the perfect tapestry, like all these different threads woven together of my experience, because my undergraduate degree was in journalism. So I always was drawn to writing and editing, and so the content, you know, having such rich experience, at least a little bit, at least touching all of these different things through these studies I did at TGI, you know, just set me up in such a good position to run the magazine in a meaningful way and be able to speak to the different practitioners and businesses that we work with at least a little bit of understanding about what they do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can talk the talk, you can
Yeah.
understand and contribute
Yeah.
in a way that maybe a typical publisher wouldn't be able to if they just had the business background.
Right, right.
Or just the journalism background.
And when I first took over, I remember meeting with a few advertisers, and about halfway into the conversation, they kind of paused and they said, "You really understand this stuff. This isn't just a business for you." And the first few times, it sort of took me by surprise. I didn't really understand, you know, where they were coming from.
Like the difference.
But now I get it. Yeah, now I understand. And that's something that I've not really, I never made much of a big deal out of it. You know, I've always believed that the magazine is not about me, right? It's a reflection of the community. It's for, by, and about the community. I'm a teeny part of that community. So the magazine shouldn't be about me and my beliefs.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that does surprise some people when they find out about my background and the things that I have done and do, because I feel like that's kind of a separate part.
Okay, fair enough. But I'm sure it's a pleasant surprise and it's refreshing. And it does, you know, honestly, it brings value to it.
Well, I think so. I think it gives it a deeper context.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you want to describe the magazine and what it's about for our viewers who have not read it or familiar with it?
Yeah, so Natural Awakenings is a national franchise. So yeah, I should hold one up.
Yeah.
So it's a national franchise publication. We're actually celebrating our 25th anniversary of the original founding edition down in Naples, Florida. The Fairfield County edition is the oldest one in the Northeast, and it started 15 years ago this year.
Oh, nice. And so it's a monthly?
It's a free monthly publication. And the mission is to inspire, inform, and empower people. And the subject matter ranges, you know, from month to month. We'll have different issue themes, but natural health and wellness, personal empowerment, the environment and sustainability topics, fitness, spirituality. Those are all of the different themes that you might expect to see from month to month. And the purpose of it really is to let people know that they have options. Whatever situation it is that they're in, whether it be a medical situation, a physical situation, an environmental issue where they're dealing with mold in their home, or, you know, that there are options that they may not find out about from more conventional or mainstream sources.
Right. So it's a lot of alternatives that people may not be aware of.
Exactly.
You know, that's really, it dovetails so nicely with the show, because that's one of my goals as well, besides the spiritual connection piece, is to have people in the community be more aware of what's available, what's out there, you know, different practitioners, different services, whatever, you know, and also different points of view possibly that they haven't considered. So it's very similar in that regard.
It absolutely is.
I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, I always say that, and in fact I've probably written it in one of my publisher's letters at one point over the years, but I always say that I have no vested interest in what change somebody makes as a result of reading the magazine. I only care that they know that they have the ability to make change.
Well, it's
right,
like
and that they feel empowered to, you know, go to their computer and do some more research, or make an appointment to see a practitioner that inspired them if they read an article or saw an ad, or go to an event. I mean, there's so many amazing events and workshops and classes going on a daily basis in this area.
It is amazing.
And a lot of them are free or not very expensive. And the richness of the information and the inspiration that comes from them is just priceless. And so, if for nothing else, the news brief section at the front of every issue and the calendar at the back of every issue are worth picking it up.
Yeah, I agree. And the like you said, the accessibility of the different offerings. You know, they're very accessible, affordable, you know, close by. There's day, there's evening. Yeah, there's a lot going on. for
Yeah.
sure.
And we cover a very wide area, now, especially now that we've expanded to include southern Litchfield County. So we cover, you know, you can pick the magazine up at New Morning, way up in Woodbury, Connecticut, where some people in the area may never have even been.
Yeah.
But we're also all the way down to the state line in Greenwich, all the way over to Stratford and Bridgeport, and all the way up, you know. So we're covering a huge area. So no matter where you are or pick it up, there's going to be something in there that can help you within a fairly close distance.
Yeah.
That's our goal in putting every issue together.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, just personally, I've you know, visited a lot and met a lot of people through that as well, and tried new things that I maybe wouldn't have thought of before.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, actually, that's, now that I'm thinking about it, Nicole, that's how I discovered the TLC group.
Oh, very cool.
Yes, because there was an ad and maybe even a little article or something. I can't remember now, but it was almost a year ago. I think it was like in the late spring last year. So
It's kind of a funny story. The TLC networking breakfast, where we originally met, was the genesis of the Natural Awakenings in Fairfield County. The three women who started this edition met at a TLC breakfast 15 years ago.
Oh,
or
my goodness.
Just over 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show that, you know, you just get out there and you meet people and
Connections.
look what can happen. It's all about connections.
It really is. Yeah.
And of course, Beth Lees is very good at that. She created the TLC group, and she's done a lot with that, I have to say. I did not join when there was still a physical location in Norwalk, but right after that, and now it's just so much broader. I mean,
yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I first went to TLC, I think when I was working for the Graduate Institute. I think that's when I first started. So it was back in 2009 or 10, around then. So I've been involved with the group for 10 years now, in different capacities, and it has always been such an incredible resource. Just amazing people and knowledgeable on so many different fronts. Passionate, authentic, just terrific people.
Yeah, I agree.
I've had, you know, incredible articles and article ideas come out of some of those meetings, and you know, some terrific advertisers, you know, over the years.
Yeah, speaking of which, do you want to show the ad?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, not that we're here to talk about TLC, but of course, this is, so TLC is a networking group of holistic health practitioners, and they have this full-page ad, and I have a little piece of it this month in March. I'm so excited.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. And if anybody can, you know, go to Natural Awakenings and see that.
Yeah, it's page 3 in the new issue.
Yeah, or you can go on their website, which is 203tlc.com.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and your website, we'll have that on the screen too for Natural Awakenings. You can check that out.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I've been talking a lot about the hard copy edition, but we do have a very strong online presence as well, on the website as well as on Facebook. And
yeah, so they can just go on and check that out.
Yeah,
you have a Facebook page. Yeah, that's cool. And you also have the directory, which is the other thing you brought along.
Yeah, I brought a copy of our this is always our biggest issue of the year. This is our February issue, which is our directory edition. Okay. This one that we just did was actually the largest that we've ever done in Fairfield County.
It's very thick.
It's 112 pages. I couldn't believe that. It was really, but again, it's just a measure of what's going on in the community. The community is so vibrant and strong and growing. And so 2 days before we were going to the printer, we had to add 8 pages. Wow. Because people kept calling me and emailing and saying, I know I missed the deadline, but can I still get in? And the first few times I said, no, I'm sorry. But then after enough people called, I said, you know what?
You could add a whole section.
Yeah, because you have to go up in 8 pages. You can't just add a page or 2. You have to go up in a chunk. Exactly. But once enough people called, I said, you know what? Once I ran the numbers, I said, you know, we actually can't afford it. The question is, do we have time to get it done?
Right.
So in 48 hours, my amazing designer and editor and proofreaders pulled it off. So yeah, that was a frantic 48 hours. But
Wow.
Yeah, so this edition is a little bit different. It's available all year long at some of our big distribution locations, and it's a real reference guide. We encourage people to keep it all year and really, refer to it.
So it has a directory of everybody who has anything to offer that they're aware of. They can do this, basically. So how many would you estimate? How many?
I think there were over 250 different businesses and practitioners that got involved this year, which is more than we've ever had.
That sounds pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, it was really exciting.
Is that directory also available online on your website?
Yeah, it's on the website all year long.
Okay, and all of this is free?
All of it is free.
Yeah, so how does that work? Because the advertisers cover all the expenses?
It's 100% community funded by the advertisers. And we are distributed by the generosity and good graces of our distribution partners who allow us to be in their location for no cost.
Well, it benefits them because they offer something for free to their clients, right? So like what types of places are you distributed, for example?
Well, obviously all of our advertisers have copies, but a lot of yoga studios, a lot of health food stores. I mentioned New Morning up in Woodbury, but Chamomile in Brookfield, in Danbury, Nature's Temptations in Ridgefield, Nature's Way in Stratford. A lot. Those are some of the big rack locations that we have. With the local health food stores. And we also have an exclusive where we're distributed at the Whole Foods.
I was going to ask you about that.
So
the chains have it too.
We have racks in all of the Whole Foods in Fairfield County, which is very exciting. And that was a relatively new thing that happened just a couple years ago.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, most of the chains like Trader Joe's will not allow us to be in there. We used to be in some of the ShopRites, and then, I'm sorry, not ShopRite, Stop and Shops. And then they stopped their free publication program in Fairfield County. So overnight, we lost 18 locations.
Oh my goodness.
That was like right after I started, yeah. But we are in over 1,000 locations. Stu Leonard's is a big one for us, obviously, both in Norwalk as well as Brookfield. I feel like there's another big one I'm forgetting. Stu's, Whole Foods. We're in a few ShopRites.
Yeah. So basically, if somebody wanted to find it, they could find it very easily.
Yeah, and those big rack locations that I'm mentioning, those get restocked throughout the month. So some of the smaller locations, like an advertiser or a yoga studio, for example, might get a stack of 25 or 50, and that's it for the month.
They run out, that's it.
Yeah, they run out, halfway through the month, that's it,
Right.
Unless they call and tell me they want more.
So do you have to go deliver them? If people want more, do you do that yourself?
I usually don't personally, no. I work with a terrific distribution team, Man in Motion right here in Norwalk, and he's got a team of drivers that go out and do all the routes. Yeah, I couldn't possibly.
I was wondering about that.
Oh, my gosh.
I know you're busy. That would be way over the top.
When we expanded in Litchfield County, which we did in part because I had moved up there, and so it just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
For a while, I did that route myself because we were just adding locations. And after 2 or 3 months, I called them and said, okay, how many stops do I need to have before I could give this back to you? Because it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And it's, it's not as easy as you think.
No, I wouldn't imagine. I mean, it'd be fun for a little while.
Yeah,
like meeting
exactly
people and making the rounds, and then it's like, okay, especially with the weather,
Right, that really that can really wreak havoc depending on what day and time the snowstorm hits or whatever.
Yeah, in our neck of the woods. So what's coming up in terms of content? What are you interested in right now? What's current?
Yeah, so one of the things, because Natural Awakenings is a franchise, we have terrific content that comes to us from the national office.
Oh, that's cool.
But we also have the ability and are encouraged to really localize the content as much as possible. So one of the issues coming up that we're working on is the April edition, where we're really focusing on Lyme disease. And that's a terrific example of something that the national office might cover occasionally, but not nearly as much as we need to cover it in this area because it's such a, just an epidemic.
Yeah.
So we're working right now on our Lyme disease issue, which is always a really interesting one to put together. And we're looking at different things, different techniques, and different ideas, different approaches to dealing with it. So hopefully there will be some really robust and interesting content in there for people.
Maybe some cutting edge.
That's always what we're looking for.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, we know somebody in the TLC group who's really very involved with that.
He's written a terrific article for this issue.
Oh, has Greg
for that?
written an
Yeah,
article?
he's already submitted it, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, he's done some really good work for a lot of families and a lot of people that have Lyme disease, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So that's the April issue that we're working on. And in May, it's our Women's Wellness Edition. And we're looking specifically at personal empowerment, which is such a big deal for so many women.
Nice.
Yeah, so personal empowerment. And our secondary theme that month is mysticism and medicine.
Oh.
Which is something that I'm personally really interested in, you know, going back to the spirituality concepts. For me, spirituality has nothing to do with religion,
Right.
but instead it's much more of an internal process, you know, which I think in many ways is regarded as somewhat mystical.
Absolutely. There's definitely that element. I work in a community, a spiritual community, that there's some definitely big component of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always been fascinated by that, the intersection of spirituality and health, and how one can improve the other or make it worse.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to be looking at in the May issue. So I'm excited about both of them.
So are you doing some research yourself on that? And you're
Probably not. Unfortunately, since I took over the second magazine, I don't do as much writing as I used to.
Yeah.
Although every now and then I find myself writing 2 or 3 articles in 1 month and thinking, well, how did I do this? You know.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not personally planning to write anything.
Yeah.
But part of the exciting and fun part of my job is just, you know, visioning the articles with the other people, with the contributors, and with the freelance journalists that sometimes I hire to write, you know, specific pieces that I have in mind.
Yeah. No, I think that would be rewarding, you know, getting involved at whatever level. But, you know, because you get to see the big picture. And
Setting the vision.
Yeah, the vision. And you know what, I think it sounds like you really know what people would like to see and read about.
You know, I always say that I'm a good barometer because for so long I was a passionate reader of the magazine. So if I'm at an event, a networking breakfast or an expo, wherever, and I find myself talking to someone and saying to them, oh, that's so interesting, I've never heard about that. Ding, 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 that's an article idea, right? Because if I think it's interesting and I don't know about it, there's probably tens of thousands of my readers who don't know about it either. And that's, I think, what my biggest job is.
It sounds like, and that's really, that you're also very adept at that as well.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's part of the process that I really enjoy.
Yeah, that's great. So, so you keep in touch with what's out there, what's available, and keep your, like you said, your good barometer.
Yeah, if I'm curious about something, you know, if I find out about something that I've not been exposed to before, then chances are it's going to do well in the magazine because that's what we should be printing.
So do you like meet people, like you must meet the advertisers, or a lot of them, so they're the people who offer the services. So do you like sample the services yourself?
Oh, there are many things, you know, that I've had the good fortune to experience over the years. But I would say there are probably just as many that I haven't, for one reason or another. You know, I think one of the things that I've learned over my journey.
We're going to have to wrap up.
Oh, yeah.
I just got the message.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm sorry we're
That's
out of time, but thank you so much, Nicole, for being on the show. It was really great.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thanks to our audience for being here on Spiritual Connection. We'll see you on the next episode. Blessings. Take care. Yes.